Hi everybody, Matt Lawton here. This is the Astrological Winds channel, and I'm going to take a look at the astrological weather report for the week of March 21st through the 27th. And just a few things for business stuff right away, because once again, I know some people don't get through to the end. If you need to contact me for any reason, the best way is through my email, mattHue823@gmail.com. And do professional readings of all types. I've been doing that for 20 years, so just drop me an email on that or any other way. Also, remember, once again, the blog is on YouTube. So if you do have a YouTube account, you can become a follower and then just turn your notifications on. You'll always know when it's there. But it's also posted on all kinds of podcasts through Buzzsprout. So just go to your favorite podcast and just look up the Astrological Winds channel, and you can find it there. There's really no need most of the time to see a video of me. It's fine just getting the audio. Also, if you have an Instagram account, go and look up Astrological Winds channel. I post the link there every week, and I also post other stuff during the week at times, just little blurbs here and there. Not every day, but usually a couple times a week. I'll add some more stuff in there on interesting days. So it's there. Or you can even Facebook friend me, Matthew Lawton, Lauten. That's my private Facebook, and I do post it there too. So there's a lot of different ways to get the blog. And if you don't know astrology well, just listen to the energy. That's the important thing. If you do know some astrology, I always try to put that in there. Also, I will be doing an extra blog this week on the spring equinox chart set for Washington, D.C. And I'm also going to look at the one set for Kiev, Ukraine, just to see what's ahead for the next 3 months to a year in a political, social sense. So anyone interested in that kind of thing, look for that blog to be posted to today or tomorrow. So this week, coming up the 21st through the 27th, we are now in the spring in the northern hemisphere and going into the fall in the southern hemisphere. And if you'll remember, one of the big things that's been going on, and I've talked about it a lot, is that Venus and Mars are walking, I'm calling them walking down the aisle together, and they have been for a while. They actually are basically conjunct all month of this month, and the reality is, and they will be until about April 6th. Now, if you'll remember, the exact conjunction was on March 6th, and it was at the 30th degree and 30th degree of Capricorn and the 1st degree of Aquarius. It went right where the octave changed between Capricorn and Aquarius. And they have actually been conjunct really ever since Venus went direct on January 29th in Capricorn. And now here they are walking through Aquarius together, and Venus just a little bit ahead of Mars, but will stay, like I said, within orb of this conjunction until April 6th. So, that basically means here, the relationships and how we fit with our own drives and individualism within the relationships is really a big key thing that's going on right now. And when you think of the retrograde period of Venus went through Capricorn, which really is seeking some kind of stability in relationships, reliability, real world things. And then, they conjunct at the critical last degree of Capricorn, saying it's time to graduate into a higher octave of that kind of energy. and into Aquarius is where they ended up. And so now I think the challenge right now in romantic and sexual and creative relationships, which is what Venus and Mars together are really about. It's really more about the romantic sexual relationships and maybe some creative relationships that, if they want to continue to have that stability that was established in the Venus Capricorn retrograde period, then and that's what Aquarius wants. It is a fixed sign, so it does want stability. But what needs to happen is that each individual within relationships has to somehow upgrade their values and ideals. They need to accept changes in what's going on within them and in the relationship if they want to go on together in the future, if that's what they want. Each person, and really with the Aquarius energy, what it really is all about is each person needing to be accepted for their uniqueness within the context of that relationship and within the context and their own creativity, even their own eccentricities, even their own odd little traits have to be like fully accepted and integrated somehow in order, for this higher octave, I think, to really, bring the relationships into a new level. And so what has to happen is a lot of the emotional debris of the past has to be cleared out, and in order for different new ideas to come in that relationship, and for and the thing is too, the Aquarius energy no longer has like the patience for emotions throwing things really off track. It's looking at things of like wanting to up things to another level, wanting to go to an original new place that hasn't been explored before. And like I said, that each person's uniqueness has to be honored within that. So, and I think part of this too is, we're going into the Aquarius age, and there's a lot of shifting values about relationships and a lot of shifting mores in society about relationships. So that's bleeding down into individual levels. Where society is going, no matter how much someone's been brought up in some other time and age, what's going on presently is slowly affecting and eroding some of the older ideas. So those things are shifting. So we could see some really interesting and odd matchups with the Aquarian energy. I mean, people get attracted to different type of people than themselves, different backgrounds, different ways of looking at things, different value systems, different politics, different societal ideals and things like that. And I think if each person's individuality is honored, it will bring about that ability for each individual to get this upgrade to the way they can do relationships and creativity together and still maintain and honor each person's uniqueness so that each person's individual talents can come out to shine. So what's really interesting, you'll remember, if you remember from last week, the two of them are traveling together, and Venus squared Uranus on Saturday. And so triggering, as I said last week, the Uranus-Saturn square with Venus relationships. So the structure of relationships starts to kind of break down, and it's seeking out a new place. Now, at the same time, if you remember on Friday, Venus actually sextiled Chiron in Aries. So once again, relationships are are giving us the opportunity to reflect back and look at our own selves and at our own like weak points, at our own wounds, at our own places where we need to learn more about ourselves, and are giving us that opportunity to make those changes. Now, the thing with Venus Uranus, like I said last week, it destabilizes relationships. It there's a lot of changes that are coming in rapidly, and for people who are craving that stability, that reliability, or just trying not, to make, or are kind of stuck in the way things can be, it can be really challenging, the Venus-Uranus square, because it's taking all that away. But the thing is, it blows things out in the open. And, there's honesty with Uranus, like of where people are really at. And from that point, we can decide, once things are out in the open, can we build from there a new type of agreement? And that's where Uranus can get really interesting and create new ways of relating with people that, we all have to adjust to. Now, for some people, that's not acceptable. And the Venus-Uranus can really destabilize relationships, especially ones that, we have been in for a long time, because, those are the ones that Uranus energy, when it gets rebellious, when it gets agitated, when it gets impatient, or even resentful with others, it's going to strike out against the ones that, what that it feels have been restricting. So, it's really like great on that level of there's no secrets anymore, and can you move forward from there in that relationship? But it's up to each individual's ability to adjust or change whether that relationship can survive those things. So a lot of times, it can degenerate into very argumentative, discord kind of type of situations. And it doesn't mean something still can't be hammered out. Something still can be, but like I said, it's coming from a new place. And that's where the sextile to Chiron can be really helpful. When you're thinking both Mars and Venus are sextiling Chiron, there can be a healing of the self, the Mars, and our relationships, the Venus. There's opportunities that will come up from blowing out this stuff. But, like I said, there can be a lot of discord and disagreement until you can find some common ground and build from there. And maybe, have some new experiences together that will, bring up or honor a lot of that restless energy of Venus, Uranus wanting something different, have some new experiences together, do some different things, connect with different people. And that's the thing too, if you do connect with new people, it's going to be more of a short-term kind of connection. It can be kind of like flirty, someone really different from you again. And also remember, with Venus Uranus, there can be a lot of quick gains and losses with money. Anything related to finances and money, including the stock market and things like that, can jump up and down quite a bit. But I think, ultimately, when you add in the Mars-Uranus too, this is where people start to take actions that are very individualistic and can be very upsetting and shake other people up. But this is also the realization of the need for that individualism to shine. So, I think what can end up happening is, at least one of three things, in the sense of like, some people may decide, hey, I need complete freedom and separation from this relationship. Others may decide that, small doses of this relationship is better, like small, because there's so much energy packed into it with that Uranus energy, and it's shaking us up. But like, we want to change. We want to get that upload of Aquarius and Uranus energy in our lives, but it's so much at once that if you stay in the presence of that, it's overstimulating and then can get really jagged and go to places where, the discord and all that can come in. And then the third option, at least three options that I see, is a reinvention of the relationship itself, and to come in and agree to different parameters within that relationship that's accepting that each person has, like, this individualism and needs to continue to evolutionize themselves and change themselves. It really, when you think about the Uranus Aquarius energy, it's very similar energy there, and Uranus is in Taurus. So it's like saying, hey, that stability that Taurus likes, especially in relationships, and the material comforts even that Taurus likes, Venus kind of likes, is going to be, shaken up, and that, there's a lot. So thing is too, is the Mars Uranus's way of reacting to that can be very quick to anger, can be very temperamental, but also quick to like forgive and forget, because it sees the truth of the new download that the individual gets under that Mars Uranus energy, and it knows that it has to move on. Now the thing is, Mars Uranus is very jagged and quick energy, so it can be very upsetting to other people, but once again can bring a lot of breakthroughs, especially when you add Chiron in Aries. And like I said, for years, I really feel like, that's each individual needing to be responsible for their own learning and healing processes. So, here again, we have this really, shaking us up and showing us that, like, how the old ways of relating, the old ways of dealing with money, the old ways of being creative can all be like things that we're, stuck and restricted on, and just need to be shaken up if we want to go into this Aquarian age of this new ways of doing things and helping ourselves out and healing ourselves. So this is going to be a lot this week. Like I said, the Venus square Uranus was Saturday. The Venus sextile Chiron was Friday last week. This week, the Mars square Uranus is exact Tuesday, at the same day that it sextiles Chiron. And then on Monday even, the moon is in Scorpio, in detriment, in a very intense emotional sign, in a T-square, fixed T-square, with the Venus Mars conjunction and Uranus. So there's going to be a lot of emotional tension pretty much from when the full moon started around Friday last week through at least Wednesday of this week, of this like need for the relationships to change, accept the changes, be flexible about it. And like I said, it's either going to be let it go, or small doses, or redefining what it is as at least three of the options. And I'm sure with humans and free will, there's other ways that can manifest too. But in general, it'll probably fall under one of those categories. Now, a couple other things to talk about. Mercury is busy this week, later in the week too. So on Wednesday, it conjuncts Neptune in Pisces. So remember, Mercury in Pisces is very weak, like I talked about when it went into it's in detriment and fall. So mainly because it represents the mind and intellect and logic, and Pisces is the antithesis of all that stuff. So it does stimulate the imagination. Well, now it's conjuncting Neptune in Pisces. So it's really, really going to stimulate the imagination and inspire a lot of people with their idealistic ideas to try to get them out there, to try to somehow articulate or get their creative idealistic ideas out somehow, communicate them. And remember, Mercury's about words, but like Neptune and Pisces is really like more about feelings. So it's like can give us the ability to articulate our feelings well, or it can also be like there's no way I can ever explain my feelings concisely. So communication can be like abstract, more holistic, not concise, and sometimes very difficult to interpret, easy to be misunderstood. But then there's also communications that can be used in other levels, like using words artistically, poetically, imaginatively, in fantasy, and even our dreams, So, but it's not a good time to make agreements that are like, solid agreements, like contractual things or negotiations. Because what happens with Mercury and Neptune is people are playing poker a little bit too. They're not telling all the truth. They're holding back secrets. They're holding back information. And they can even be deceptive, So it's just not a good time. But it is, believe it or not, the Mercury is sextiling the North Node the same day. So it is a good time to like connect with other people on common endeavors, especially ones that I think have to do with like ideals and creativity, and ways of like inspiring one another, So it's a really good day for that. And then the next weekend, Mercury continues to be the busy one. On Saturday, it sextiles Pluto. And that'll give us a really good chance to look deep within ourselves, to use our minds to do some really deep research on anything that, the mind can get obsessed with Mercury, Pluto, and sometimes it's not worthy of the time that we give something under Mercury, Pluto. But with the sextile, a lot of times we're kind of looking within, and we're looking at our own psychology and getting really deep and like really wanting to see what makes our minds tick and the influences of that. So it can be really good for like that kind of self-analysis type thing. But anything that we're really into, it can really give the researching mind a really good boost of energy and really cut through things like a laser and get to the bottom of things. So it also, a lot of times we want to share what we're seeing, and so it gives us a very like persuasive voice in sharing what we're seeing with others, that we can be very powerful and passionate with our words and stuff. So, and then the last thing, Sunday, Mercury changes signs. It goes into Aries, joins the sun there, where it has no dignity at all. So it's kind of like in the middle. And the thing about Mercury in Aries is like the mind is very quick. It's very acute. It's quick. It can make quick decisions, etc. But it's also very subjective and can actually be dismissive of other people's ideas and not give them the time or energy that they deserve. So it can get like argumentative too about like what it believes in, and is ready for a fight. So you can get the words a lot of times when Mercury is in Aries can seem to be defensive in many ways, and it also makes us jump to conclusions quickly. Maybe we don't get all the information, or we don't have the patience to wait for everything we need to make a good decision. So that can mess us up. But we can really get into this defensive tone where it's a little bit too serious about, our beliefs and strengths and what we believe is right. So you have to kind of, although it gives us the quick mind, it's good to kind of slow down and get some input, because we kind of shut down a lot of input. So the last thing I just want to mention, remember, when we go back to the Venus-Mars thing, because that is the big thing of the week and month, they are going to conjunct Saturn by the end of the month. They're squaring Uranus now, so there's a lot of shake-up going on. But there's the sextile to Chiron, giving us opportunities to heal self and others in relationships. And the conjunction to Saturn, both coming up in the next couple weeks, when they get to Saturn's degree in Aquarius, shows that by then we should have a really good idea of who and where we're at and who we want to be with and at, and in a creative, romantic, or sexual or monetary kind of way with people. Like, at that point, I think these next 2 weeks will shake out a lot of the stuff we need to shake out in ourselves and in relationships. And then by the end of the month, when Saturn comes in, we'll get the stability that Venus in Capricorn through the retrograde period and the initial conjunction at the critical 30th degree of Capricorn between Venus and Mars really wants. But we're still just needing to define what we really want, be respected for our individualism within those relationships, and then maybe redefine where each of them are. And then at that point, we'll know which ones we want to stabilize with when Venus and Mars both conjunct Saturn. So the story will continue. All right, this is Matt Lawton. This is the Astrological Winds channel. Like I said, it's on YouTube every week. So become a follower, turn on your notifications. It's on couple dozen podcasts. Just look it up, the Astrological Winds channel. It's on Reason, it's on Spotify, it's on Apple iPodcasts. So getting more and more people listening to it that way. Thank you. And like I said, you can become a follower on Instagram, Astrological Winds channel, and I do post stuff during the week on Instagram, so I would encourage doing that. Or friend me at Facebook, private account, Matthew Lawton, Lauten, and then it's also posted, the link there, every week. I do readings. I've been doing professional readings for 20 years. That was after 7 years of schooling. I have a lot of amazing readings, amazing energy shifts with people. Get to know your birth chart first. That's what I recommend. Then get a predictive reading every year, which is basically your weather report for the year, just like this weekly one, except it's just for you for the year. Relationship charts, children's charts, elections, if you're looking for the best timing of an event, horary questions, fixed star readings for deeper soul purpose. There's also beginners classes available. I've got 5 of them up. Also available for lectures and events. And if you have a business where you'd like to bring in some extra business, have an astrologer there for the day, do quick readings, things like that. Always think ahead. Parties, things like that. Fun stuff can be done with astrology too. All right, my email is mattHue823@gmail.com. And you can always get in touch with me with all the comments too on the YouTube or anything. You can always get in touch with me that way. All right. So an interesting week for relationships, and and defining ourselves within them, and in the midst of a long period of that. So until next week. Oh, and remember, I am going to do the blog. Anyone who's interested in the political kind of blog, the spring equinox chart set for Washington, D.C. and Kiev. I'm going to look at Kiev too. I will be doing that blog too, so you might want to check that out if you're interested in that kind of thing. All right, until next week, this is Matt Lawton. This is the Astrological Winds channel, signing off.